sure that that's going to be a secured smite. So good job on him getting those.
2 of Team Liquid versus Echo Fox. Before we go into that second game, though, I want to talk a little bit about someone who stood out to us in game number 1. Player of the game, Froggen takes the honors.
Yeah, and it's a little tricky to pick in a game that's 4 kills to 2, but Froggen definitely kept up the large portion of CS. He had the most CS in the game, also a huge percentage of the team's damage since they were mainly just poking, but he stayed safe the entire time and did win the 1 team fight that they ended up having to do. So still a strong performance by Froggen and deserving of the player of the game.
Hey, when there's 1 team fight in the game and you win it, you have a 100% team fight win rate.
Woo!
That's pretty impressive. That makes you player of the game. But to change things up for game number 2, Liquid have decided to, again, invoke the 10-man roster, make a couple of swaps, and we're going to see Golden Glue and Matt in for game 2.
Yeah, they're going to keep cycling through and try and go with the hot hand as long as they have these guys on standby. Talk to their management. They say they're very willing to switch them out in between games in all 3 of their sub positions. So this game, it is Golden Glue in for Slushie, as you mentioned, and Matt in for Conquan. Rainover will stay, even though Inori is here. Especially, I feel like with Rek'Sai in meta, you're not going to have champion pool issues with Rainover, but I can understand subbing in Matt and Golden Glue.
And champion pool was kind of a thing that came up for Rainover in Spring Split. It's one thing that a lot of people talked about when they were talking about Liquid and why things didn't work out too well for him. They were like, well, the stuff that Rainover likes to play, it's not popular, right? Like, you weren't, everything at the start was Rengars and Kha'Zixes and all this assassin carry lethality stuff. And that just wasn't Rainover's style.
It isn't. And it's funny because for such a dominant player like Rainover is, winning in the European LCS and having such an amazing record with the Immortals last year, including winning the MVP of the 2016 Spring Split, Rainover hasn't had a big champion pool in his 3 years in Europe and North America. So that is kind of the one big mark against Rainover as a pro player. I do feel, though, like it should be swinging back into it. So he's going to really needs to step up for this Team Liquid team in this moment.
When he can play Rek'Sai and Graves and Olaf and things like that, that's when Rainover is really able to be that guy that you're like, wow, this dude is a serious contender. He's a power player. He's the kind of guy that can win the game. And apparently, that's how Liquid feels. They are going to be keeping him in for this second game, and they need to find a win here if they want to continue playing, try to find the victory in this series that they need if they want to even be remotely in the conversation for playoffs.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then if I even switch over kind of to the Echo Fox side, they need to get themselves out of this we're in a slump mentality, right? They have to start winning. You can't be slumping forever, right? Like, how long has Echo Fox been roughly a 2-5 win rate throughout the 2 years they've pretty much been in the LCS? Games like this are things they need to be able to dominate if they want to become that playoff team.
Well, we saw them do it earlier on this split. Now they're halfway there to doing it again. Another strong performance from Froggen over Slushie. Means that this time he'll have to have that kind of a performance over Golden Glue as Liquid makes the swap out, and we'll have to see how that changes the draft as well. 2 new players in means 2 new pools, 2 new sets of options for how they want to go about playing this one. But the first thing Liquid does is say no more Kennen.
Yeah, that's the thing that stands out to them. It just completely took Lorlo out of the game. They had no way of dealing with that Kennen. And that is kind of on the whole team, but they just didn't have the tools to deal with it, so may as well get rid of it right off the bat.
And you know, a lot of times you'll see the Jarvan, even if he has a bad time in the lane, maybe he gets camped or he just falls behind, and even if he gets outplayed, as the game goes on, he's useful in the team fights. But one team fight, he wasn't very useful in it. Cataclysmed and got stuck on the front line that was Echo Fox, and it just didn't work out too well for him. Zach, Caitlyn, and TK all banned out now. Yeah,
it took him too long to get to the team fight phase. I can see the rest of the bans coming through as well, though. Tom Kent would fit in very well with this whole kind of disengaged style that Echo Fox want to go with, and I wouldn't be too surprised if Echo Fox does go with a very similar style until Team Liquid shows that they can play against it. They've only banned the Kennen. You can still split push fairly strongly with other things.
The last 2 bans being pretty clear targeted bans towards certain players. Rainover, again, going to be kept off of Olaf, while Froggen will not be allowed to play his very effective LeBlanc.
Yeah, and Galio this time comes through. It was left unpicked and unbanned in the last game. That could have been a fairly helpful answer in the how to stop the split push puzzle. Also something Golden Glue has had some very good games on in the North American LCS.
Plus, as a flex pick, that means your opponents are going to be guessing. as you head into the second part of the bans. It can really cause them to waste those bans, maybe open up some new windows for your own possibilities once those second round of picks roll around. But we're still in the first part for now. Fox is going to start it off with Jhin.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty surprised by the Jhin pick here. I was thinking that they would do maybe their jungler and a support here or something, or maybe their jungler and Tristana or Corki, because especially with how much success they had in the last game, you want to have a lot of those auto attack reliant AD carries that can blow down turrets very quickly. That's not what Jhin is. Jhin is also not that great into tanks, in my opinion, which is the first thing the Team Liquid locked in. So Keith will have to hopefully have a strong laning plan with the Jhin to have this pick be effective.
Well, one way to have a strong lane is to have a jungler that can influence those early and do a lot with them. Rek'Sai is definitely a champion that goes along with that. Acadian locking that one in. Rek'Sai's stats, you can see him for Summer Split there. That win percentage is very non-convincing.
Yeah, not that good. 28% is not what you're looking for. He has not been picked until very recent weeks. He is even buffed again on patch 7.13, so I expect the pick rate to stay up, and these guys are so experienced with Rek'Sai, everyone feels good on it. But I would say that they really haven't settled on build.
Right.
I think with a lot of the changes to Rek'Sai, you're incentivized to go warrior and build a lot of AD with the ratios, but that's not the way pro Rek'Sais like to build, because then they become too squishy and too one-dimensional, so they go tanky, and then I feel like they're just not as effective. So there's still a lot of settling in to do with the build. I'm hoping that it ends on a warrior take over the game style of Rek'Sai, where you're really going for a hard influence of the game, but we're seeing a huge mix out of these junglers.
Well, Reignover going with the Kha'Zix this time around, picking up the Thresh as well for Matt on Team Liquid, as the response from Fox is saying, hey, remember that champion we did so well on in game number 1? Let's do it again.
Just pick the Corki before you have a chance to ban it out if you're Team Liquid. And I don't disagree with Froggen, but he is picking it pseudo-blind. There could be a pick from Golden Glue that comes into it with the Galio top lane. We're not going to see it out of Golden Glue because this isn't how Team Liquid likes to play, but I think Kassadin is probably the best pick you can do against Corki. Specifically now, with the way Corki does 80% magic damage, and also how strong Doran Shield is, Kassadin takes less damage from magic, just as a passive, can shield magic damage with the Q, and if you start Doran Shield and go with a fairly early refillable potion, Corki cannot push you out of lane, and you are going to stay on even CS and then be able to kind of start all-inning at level 6. I think it would be a great pick for Team Liquid, especially if they want to do a 1-3-1, but probably not in the cards.
Right. They are going to ban away 2 of those split push potential top laners, really wanting to keep Looper off of that game plan as much as they can here in game number 2. Fiora and Gnar banned away. Cassio taken off the board by Echo Fox, so Corki doesn't have to lane into that, but they also remove Kog'Maw. Seeing their opponents having a Thresh and a Galio, knowing how effective those champions are at peeling and protecting, they don't want to allow Piglet on hypercarry potential.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Kog'Maw would be something that could shred through them in the late game. Kalista can carry games, but just in a different way. Generally not through as much protection and a little bit more slowly and life-stealy. If he gets going, though, it's going to be just as lethal. Galio ulting in on a short-range Kalista can be really strong.
Now, who's the last pick for Liquid? Is it a top laner? Is it a mid laner? That's the question they have to answer in the next 6 seconds or so, and it looks like it's going to be Galio mid with a Renekton in the top lane.
Yeah, so Team Liquid is trying to prevent what happened to them in the last game. They do not want to get pushed around in the laning phase. It's very difficult to push around a Galio. Renekton generally does not get pushed around, and Kalista Thresh always has kill pressure. So if Echo Fox is going to beat him, Team Liquid is going to say do it in a more creative fashion than just smashing all the lanes continuously.
Echo Fox going with the Shen as their final pick. They'll take that one into the Renekton, and of course, it's very effective at also helping defend Froggen and Keith once the fights start breaking out.
Yeah, so as you can see, though, Echo Fox does have the protection strategy, but not nearly as much damage as they had last game. Team Liquid has much stronger laning phases. Echo Fox will have to play as a team. Looper Shen probably can't do the 1v1 wins over and over again against Lolo and will have to join the team and therefore coordinate, and that hasn't been Echo Fox's strength this split.
One thing I am looking at for Echo Fox, though, when you look at the itemization they'll have this game for both of their tanks, for the Braum and for the Shen together, they're up against 3 big AD threats and a mid lane Galio.
True.
Very easy to itemize armor for these guys. So if those tanks get rolling, it could be another story of, okay, Corki just stands behind these 2, and then what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Double Knight's Vow. Could happen again. I want Acadian to go warrior. I want Acadian to build a lot of damage so he can kill Kalista in these team fights. Otherwise, they might not be able to get through. But you never know. all in on the Froggen court.
Acadian's one of those guys who has been a carry before. I mean, we've seen him on a lot of Rengar performances. We've seen him... He's not like Reignover, right? He's not somebody who's going to play more of that control-oriented style and more of that facilitator role. He's the kind of guy who says, look, I'll carry this one. So I would say that Acadian would be more likely to build the Warrior than Reignover would. I hope we get to see it too, just because the way the champion was reworked, they even said explicitly, we want Rek'Sai to be more of a fighter. We do not like this build 5 tank items, knock people up in a team fight, and walk around in circles until the knockup's ready again strategy. Yeah,
you could only make so many ham-fisted changes of build AD on this guy. He doesn't even scale with health. Just please, we'll let you one-shot someone if you just build 10 AD. Eventually they'll do it. Eventually people will build attack damage. Acadian has done it. He played Rek'Sai a couple times last week. One game did Cinderhulk, one game did Warrior. It does depend on the situation. I can see why you would be hesitant to go Warrior this game because you tunnel in, try and one-shot someone, and then Galio ults you, and you're dead because the guy got damage reduction, didn't kill him, and now you have no resistances. So a difficult situation to be in, obviously.
Yeah, between Thresh Peel, Galio damage reduction, even just Galio taunt. I mean, you can see Rek'Sai tunneling in because she has that tunnel animation. It's not an instant blink. And as you see that, all you do is turn your taunt on. Uh-oh, Rek'Sai's on top of my dudes. All of a sudden, taunt.
Yep.
Problem solved.
Very telegraphed engage.
Well, Echo Fox hopes that it's not going to be too telegraphed because they would love to walk away with a 2-0 victory in this one, exactly like they did earlier on in this split. When they played against Liquid the last time, it was a swift couple of games. Never made it to game number 3. Liquid needs to change that here. Again, this team currently sitting on a 2-6 record. Really just trying to avoid being at the very bottom right now, but still halfway through the split. There's still a chance to come back, but that journey needs to begin right here.
Yeah, subbing in 2 players as well, trying to really flip the script from that last game. Getting Matt onto Thresh with Kalista Thresh has the potential to give him some big gains in the laning phase. Matt can be one heck of a playmaker when he's hot on Thresh, so giving himself some opportunity to try and jump back in.
I mean, the man's name was originally Matt Life.
Yep.
He named himself after Mad Life, the Thresh King, right? Like, this guy should be able to make some plays and set things up for this team. And I like the faith that they have putting him on that, saying, look, we're going to not only bring you in, we're going to put you on your champ, because that's how we're going to win this and stay in this series.
Yeah, Thresh and Bard, really 2 champs he became known with early on. Again, becoming more and more common, a bit of a super leash there where Piglet and Matt helped with Red. This is allowing Reignover to get to Blue very quickly. So he'll be level 3 with double buffs in a very fast fashion. I mean, notice how he's killing Blue, where Acadian just finished Red. So he's a full camp ahead of Acadian.
And Acadian...
And then he goes to farms crop, so...
Yep, chill out. Just waiting a little bit. Last time we did get to see it make the level 3 gank in the top side onto Looper. They came so close to getting the first blood, but the potion and the lightning surge kept him barely alive. This time Reignover's not as interested in it. Acadian barely slipping past vision there, not going to be seen by Lorlo. Only half HP, which is kind of risky going into a Renekton.
It's actually so risky, considering Kha'Zix could have been in the brush there, and you would absolutely lose that 2v2 if Kha'Zix got a super pull. Instead, Reignover is going for the full clear level 4. Level 4 at 3 minutes and 4 seconds before his recall. So very, very fast, and a full level and 2 camps up on Acadian.
Yep, puts Acadian a little bit behind. We know both these champions very, very good at ganking early, especially Rek'Sai. With that new Emax, the burst from the Curious Bite does so much damage, but Kha'Zix is not exactly a slouch in the burst damage department either. That guy gets on top of you. Very easy to melt away some of the health bars. Plenty of setup in the lanes too. I mean, honestly, if you're looking at Team Liquid's lanes, you've got a Renekton with a point-and-click stun. You've got Golden Glue with the Galio, who has 2 different forms of really strong CC. Bottom lane, you've got Thresh. Everybody can assist if Reignover comes for a gank.
Very gankable lanes for Reignover, and he's also trying to make an invade here. He's going to see Acadian. Reignover has smite, so does Acadian, but Keith and Gate should be turning to help right now.
Reignover, although he's got the edge in that 1v1, not going to be a 1v1 for long. Backing away, taking the Scuttle Crab as the consolation prize instead. Pretty easy to farm that one up if the red buff wears off.
So still just farming it on both sides. That's a 1-wave advantage for Froggen already. 6 CS up on Golden Glue, doing a good job harassing.
And last game against Slushy, it was a decent advantage for a while. Remember, it stayed at 15 CS for a good minute, and then it just sort of started ballooning and ballooning and ballooning. as Echo Fox controlled more and more of the map, and all those resources were given away to Froggen. And I noticed even as we were watching the replay of that one team fight that happened, as Froggen gets the kill and jumps over the Krug wall, he farms the Krugs real quick before he regroups with his team. He's like, 1 second, I just got to take care of this real quick. Static shivs them all to death and then goes back to fight.
Yeah, 1 second, there's like 8 CS in this camp. I need it.
Like, come on, they take 1 hit to kill. It's going to make my numbers look really, really good. Golden Glue getting bullied around here early on, though. I mean, what would you expect? Galio, before he has a little bit of AP under his belt to make the Winds of War clear that back line, not going to have the best time against a ranged opponent.
Yeah, it's tricky. Galio does have tremendous wave clear and is generally good for not being pushed out of waves, but he's by no means going to dominate the Corki.
Meanwhile, bottom side, a nice early lead for Piglet over his opponent in Keith. Piglet, a very mechanically talented player, but over the wall goes Rainover, looking to fight Acadian here. They're both going to be drawing some Krug aggro now as well. Rainover doesn't get the heal from his W, forced to go back over the wall. No flash expended. Acadian uses his own, trying to secure the kill. Radiant. Oh my goodness, Froggen getting the first blood over that wall. Has to use his own flash to get in there. Now waiting around, trying to get out. He's got multiple people closing in, but Looper comes in to help. Acadian firing some Prey Seekers over the wall. They're looking to turn this one around. 3 versus 2. A good taunt coming in from Looper. Lorlo taken low. Golden Glue going to be brought low now as well, but they've turned things around. Froggen with no mana. And Looper has to try to escape from this one. The taunt being channeled. The flash into the setup. A double kill for Golden Glue. Froggen on the run, but is he going to be running anywhere? I don't think so. Jad, here it comes. The triple kill for Golden Glue.
And 6 stacks on a Dark Seal to boot at the end of that one. It looked so good for Echo Fox when Froggen could just flash over the wall to get this kill. Watching the replay, I mean, Acadian did start it beautifully. He got the Tremor Sense, just waited. And he also gets the Krugs to help out with this damage onto Rainover. Pretty gorgeous. As you mentioned, not getting the heal on his W means he goes back in. Then Froggen says, I'll take that. He Valks close and then flashes. And then he turns on his Gatling gun. So not only does he not have Valkyrie, he doesn't have the mana to Valkyrie. So it's time. Lorlo and Golden, you say, what's up? Echo Fox says, we must protect Froggen. Looper flashes in, but it's a tough fight. Galio and Renekton do very strong amounts of damage in close quarters. Acadian goes in to help. He gets power fisted first by Golden Glue. That's not actually the name of the ability. I think it's like Justice Punch or something. But then Golden Glue still has flash, gets the double taunt. The triple kill at the end, since Froggen has no mana this entire time, is just huge for Team Liquid. Colossal Smash.
Yeah, Colossal Smash is the passive. Justice Punch is the rear back and slam forwards thing, but Echo Fox really not happy with how that one played out. I was
Looper.
curious, but Looper now going to potentially be dove by 3 now. Ashen is tanky, but not quite yet. Rainover grabbing the kill credit. Golden Glue barely even takes that much damage into his health bar. Yeah,
and he had the window to go mid right there. It is going to be punished a little bit. A Canyon Wave in the mid lane. Turret damage reduction is gone at 5 minutes, so this is full damage being done to that mid-tier turret. Golden Glue's going to have a hard time getting back there without actually giving up first turret at 7 minutes.
Both sides trying to rush for turret first blood if they can, and it looks like it's going to be Team Liquid that gets it. Their opponents have been forced off, and Lorlo's going to be left to get the solo gold on that one. Again, what you mentioned in the draft, they're preventing the problem from last game. They want Lorlo to be strong in this split.
Yeah, and getting those early kills for the mid lane and jungle are so critical. Galio that gets that gold lead can become so oppressive, just stopping you from doing anything on the map thanks to the threat of the ultimate. So Golden Glue feeling very comfy in this mid lane now against Froggen.
Plus, like you said with those Dark Seal stacks, look at Winds of War. Just toss it into the back line, everything's cleared out, everything's fine. He's got no worries now. Rainover stealing away his opponent's red buff. Gonna have that much more kill potential and kill threat on him now. 2,500 gold lead, 8.5 minutes into the game. Phenomenal start for Team Liquid as Echo Fox just seems to not be able to find their footing.
Definitely not, and they're gonna try and stall. I mean, that's what Echo Fox does when they're in these situations. They don't actually have too many tools to get strong initiations in. Not a huge fan of their team composition. As I mentioned, the way they won last game, right, was just kind of winning lanes and daring Team Liquid to team fight them, and they weren't able to do that. But the move to this bottom lane for Team Liquid with the Jhin and the Braum, there's a lot of engage there. And when they don't have a lead, they're not really able to do it. You're not going to be able to all in a mid-game Galio, Renekton, Callista team comp.
Yeah, that's a little bit scary. Rainover picking up his own red buff now. Froggen has the package, but not really finding any suitable delivery locations. Cloud Drake is up, so not the kind of Drake that's going to inspire some early fights either. Golden Blue with a blue buff, not afraid at all of stepping up and going toe-to-toe with Frog.
Yeah, definitely not. And as long as he has Rain over in his back pocket as well, Warrior completed compared to just a challenging spot and Health Crystal on Acadian makes them much stronger.
And that Health Crystal on Acadian does lend me to believe he will be going for a Cinderhulk this game, so we don't get to fulfill our wish of seeing the damage-heavy Rek'Sai going for the Kalista, diving into the back line. Instead, just wants to be more tankiness.
Yeah, I'm sad, but I also understand it if he doesn't end up turning that Health Crystal into a Titanic Hydra. But they're going for a dive in the bottom lane, perhaps.
Gate and Keith smell something funny and immediately back away. They know there's multiple people from Team Liquid nearby, so they will just concede the turret instead. I mean, if you stick around for this, you concede the turret anyway, and then you both die.
Very true. It's the proper play to pull back like that, and now they have Acadian behind them if they do end up being dove, but Team Liquid taking a lot right now. They've already killed the top lane turret. Orlo's trying to split down and help them out in the mid lane. Rainover's just able to soul the Drake.
No problem whatsoever. Once you have those isolated bonus evolved claws that lower the cooldown so significantly, you just tear the thing apart when you're waiting in that pit. Kha'Zix's very capable of soloing that rather quickly.
5-man dive.
Here it comes, TP in. Canceled. Keith and Gate get themselves back in time. Good awareness from them, recognizing when these problems are coming at them, but they still yield the turret, and that's still a 2-0 objective advantage for Team Liquid. 3 if you want to count the Dragon.
Yep, I think it's the right play. They're both from all sides. Lorlo channeling his teleport, then canceling it also because Echo Fox is backed up from the wave. So I think we know the plan that Echo Fox is going to be going with here. Just the slow stall out, please don't kill me game. The question will be is, even if they get to that point, what will they be able to do? There's going to be so much power coming through when Lorlo has his 2 items and when Galio has his 2 items and when Kalista has her 2 items. It's incredibly strong power spikes, and they're going to hit that before Echo Fox is even at their 2 items. So that's where I think Team Liquid, that's kind of what they're playing around when they want to get big.
Now, one thing I just noticed is very strange on Acadian in this game. We've been having a bit of a conversation since earlier today as Irene introduced the idea of pros now wanting to max the E on Rek'Sai because you get the Furious Bite Burst, you get lower cooldown tunnels. Acadian's just going half and half. He's got 3 points into each skill so far, both the Q and the E, which is a little bit curious because I haven't seen that approach yet.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty close choice between either one. I don't think there's going to be huge win rate differences between the Q or the E. Basically, if you're going Emax, you're doing it for a little bit of utility and also more burst on your E. Whereas if you get all 3 Qs off, it can be better for your jungle clear, right? Because you're getting 3 of the AoE Qs off and still about the same in the extended duel. So I don't mind it. I think there's not too much craziness going on with the Rek'Sai. I prefer the Emax, but Acadian's fine.
Meanwhile, Team Liquid saying, hey, we've got an early lead. Let's go ahead and take down Rift Herald. Should be a free objective. We can turn that even into more turrets as they pick it up, send everybody towards mid lane, and that's probably where you're going to see this drop.
They're coming for mid lane.
Yeah.
Logan, you better defend this real well, but he will not be able to. Everyone in their team is just kind of cowering behind their turrets.
You can see a lot of pings coming out from Echo Fox saying, okay, we need to ARAM right now, get everybody middle, we need to stop this, but Rift Herald already in position. Headbutt into the turret. Gate trying to throw up the shield to stop this one if he can, but now he's going to be dragged in. The death sentence finds him, trying to flash himself away. Galio makes a hero's entrance. Gate's going to be the first one to fall as the damage comes out in return, but it will not be enough. Echo Fox, not nearly as strong as in game number 1. They lose the turret and their support.
Yeah, I don't really know what the plan was there for Echo Fox. It's 5 people in a Rift Herald. They have a Shen in the side lane. So I'm thinking, all right, maybe they're hoping to bait and engage and Looper's going to ult in and they're going to turn around. That's why Gate's defending the turret there. So he throws up a shield, he gets hooked. I'm like, all right, Looper's going to be on his way in any second. Stoically stands in the bot lane. Nothing happens. The Rift Herald kills the lane. No one engages for Echo Fox. So maybe they had the inkling that they'd be able to defend this, and that's definitely what Gate was thinking. I thought Acadian would come in with the Shen and they might try a big fight here, especially once the turret starts on a golden blue. But none of that happens. They just let Gate die, and Looper never channels his ultimate. They're going bot lane.
Taunt onto Lorlo doesn't result in a kill. Now Acadian's going to be taken low, and he's in some trouble. Flashing away, golden blue coming in on the flank. Gate here to keep these guys off of his allies as they make their retreat, but this is sadly what a lot of times people expect out of Echo Fox is this lack of coordination and communication and just the failed team play as a whole as the game progresses. This is what stops them from finding wins.
Yeah, and this is the team composition that requires them to play well as a team. You're not able to just kind of go into your little office in the laning phase and close your door and then just play your game. That's what they were able to do last game with Looper in the top lane. Everyone just kind of had their job and they executed. This game, though, a lot of communication has to work. You got a curtain call at the right time. You got a backup gate. You got to have Looper using his Shen ult intelligently, but just getting run down.
Yeah, Looper tries to flash away from this when the follow-up is there. Matt's got that play. He's got the death sentence, and Piglet's got Looper. Pretty easy pick for those guys, as now Lorlo gets himself away from the counterattack in top side. He'll be forced to yield that tier 1, but he doesn't die, unlike his counterpart.
Yeah, the turret would actually push the gold trade in the favor of Echo Fox, even if Looper is sad about dying here. This will help Echo Fox keep the gold percentage pretty close.
There's such a huge difference between this game and last game. I mean, last game, Looper's cannon, it was just this unstoppable force. As soon as he had Bork, Lorlo couldn't go anywhere near him. He owned the map. Now he's 0-3-0, 15 CS behind. His inventory is a garage sale. There's no items completed. It's just nothing has worked for him so far this game.
Yeah, Shen is a very, very different ninja than Kennen, I feel like. The profiles vary drastically. Looper, yes, not playing the same level, but the champions just fulfill such different roles. And we haven't seen Looper find much Echo Fox success on things like Shen because it's just, they don't have great team play together between the top lane and the rest of their team.
I mean, even looking at the champions Looper's played so far in Summer Split, he likes to play Kennen and Rumble and things like that, things that actually have a serious damage threat behind them. Renekton, another big one for him. Shen is just not there. That's not in that pseudo-carry bruiser playstyle that he goes for. Yeah, Shen can do some damage if you go for a Titanic Hydra or something similar, but when you compare Shen damage to Kennen damage, it's just not in the same ballpark. And now Team Liquid is up to a 6-1 lead, almost 4,000 gold ahead. Ocean Drake is live, so we'll have to see if they focus any attention onto that one as Gate just struggles to try to build some vision.
Yeah, get the Scuttle Crab. We can do something. Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, a lot of this split pushing going down. We're still waiting for Baron, I think, to come up. This is a struggle for Echo Fox, though, right? We're at this point where we're saying, yeah, nothing's working for Echo Fox. Team Liquid has so much control. Look at all the tools they're going to have. They're going to hit these amazing 2-item power spikes, which is Black Cleaver, Titanic Hydra for Renekton. It's Spectre's Cal Completion, which is either an Abyssal Mask or a Spirit Visage, plus Frozen Heart or Iceborne Gauntlet, which Golden Glue is close to. And then when Piglet completes his Zeal item, which is probably a Hurricane on top of the Blade of the Moon King, they're so strong compared to what Echo Fox would have. But the gold is still only 4,000 and still only 6 kills to 1. So waiting to see if Team Liquid can convert.
But I mean, once that Galio has Spirit Visage plus some sort of Glacial Shroud evolution, whether it's Iceborne Gauntlet or Frozen Heart, usually Frozen Heart we see, that's so scary when none of the carries on Echo Fox are anywhere near penetration items yet. I mean, you still got some core build stuff to do for both Froggen and Keith. You can't afford to go into a Last Whisper just yet. And that's scary.
Yeah, that's what I always say. That's when Galio is at the strongest point in the game because no one in their right mind would even build a Last Whisper or Void Staff by that point. And then Renekton, in the same vein, has so much health from his ultimate that he can build the damage items but still have a tank profile in teamfights. So that's where Team Liquid is right now.
And I like seeing what Liquid's doing too, placing this vision down as much as they can in between the lanes, trying to choke out those rotations from their opponents, making Echo Fox worry about moving back and forth in between these lanes, trying to stop them from pushing deeper. Liquid's not willing to just sit on this and have it just be okay, we took down the tier 1s, let's wait until 35 minutes, then we'll think about tier 2s.
Yep.
They're aggressively trying to take this game further quicker.
Yeah, and they got to be able to do it. Wait for Matt to try and find a hook. They got to be starving vision. Baron will be in basically a minute and a half. Keep the vision out of there and either keep rotating to kill Looper over and over again or get that Baron. You need to force Echo Fox out of this laning pattern. Look at the CS. The fact that Froggen is still up 40 CS and that Keith is 20 CS away from Piglet, or that Looper is only 29 CS down from Lorlo, isn't good considering how dominant the early game has been for Team Liquid.
One person I want to talk about, Golden Glue, somebody who has received his fair share of criticism in the past for his performances. He went to Korea, did his boot camp, trained up, came back at the start of this split. He played a single series, and then they introduced another option, and now it's going to be Acadian caught out and punished. Piglet grabbing himself a killing spree. This bottom side, Golden Glue, the man we were just talking about, going in on Looper, and just taking no damage for his troubles.
Yeah, beautiful hook from Matt. That's what we talked about. Boots of mobility completed for him, roaming around and making plays right as Baron is going to be spawning, but Froggen going on Lorlo.
Froggen getting some decent damage down here. Lorlo forced to pop that ulti. Walking himself out, a Renekton without the ult is much less scary than one with, but at the same time, Liquid takes their chance at the tier 2.
Yeah, that one, not a good play by EchoFox. That kind of guarantees that these turrets will fall. The second instance in this game where Froggen gets himself into a tussle, he's not the one that suffers, but his team suffers greatly. Watching this one more time, though. Can't quite tunnel over the wall. Matt gets hit. Nice little finish on the kill there.
Yanked him right out of the tunnel. Really, really good aim from Matt there, going fishing for Acadian. This Froggen's got yet another package, but the deliveries are so hard to make in games like these because your team can't get out there to help set anything up with you because you're all afraid to even walk into the fog of war.
And we're at the point. This is the critical point. You're 6,000 gold up. All the items that you need for Team Liquid, aside from arguably a Black Cleaver on Reignover, they should really not care about that one. It is time to control Ward Baron and make a play. They have so many control wards. They've just placed 2, but at one point they had 11 control wards in their inventory. You can only have 1 on the map at the same time. So they're very much, let's control ward one spot, nothing's here. All right, move it to the next spot. Make sure nothing's there. That's why you buy multiple control wards here. And that's all that Team Liquid is setting up for. And they have the Callista to secure a Baron as well. So everything going according to plan right now.
A goal lead like this, a position like this, there's no reason Liquid shouldn't be able to build this into a greater lead. But can they do it is the question. Golden Glue pushing up here in the top side, keeping those waves pushed out, always making it so EchoFox has to have something to answer. That footing that we talked about earlier for Fox that they couldn't seem to find is still very, very what's the word I'm looking for? Unstable. They can't find their grounding anywhere. And Team Liquid is doing a good job of making sure that. Reignover now level 11 means he has the second evolution as well. Very important for Kha'Zix. Going to allow him to have those extra spikes, I believe is the one he went for. Yep, gives you a greater slow on isolated targets, makes it that much more easy to pick them, makes it that much scarier for Fox to walk into the darkness.
Look at the vision, though. They've actually cleared everything that EchoFox could have. The control ward in the pit is blocking the vision of the 2 scrying orbs that were used in the Baron recently by EchoFox. So they have nothing left to see. And notice how there were 3 control wards on the jungler support and 2 control wards on everyone else. So they not only cleared the river, they then cleared the jungle of EchoFox. And they're just hoping that EchoFox walks in and face checks here because they know that EchoFox can't see.
EchoFox, knowing that they want them to do that, they're just
here we go.
Really potentially frightened of it. Reignover going in first, use the ult to disengage that one. Keith gonna be ulted by the Shen, looking to keep him safe. Hero's entrance onto the front line as again, Gate is the one in trouble there on the front line, melted down, bullied around. Lorlo gonna be following him straight into the black and white abyss as Looper's forced to flash out. Keith barely gonna be escaping from that death sentence. EchoFox in retreat as Piglet hops forward, trying to find more spears into the right targets. Froggen played backwards, taunted up, flashing over the wall thanks to the cleanse. It's 1 for 1 so far. Acadian hooked, but not brought down.
Getting only 1 kill for 1 kill is not what Team Liquid wants as a payoff for the setup they just put into that play. EchoFox should be so happy about the way that turned out. Notice how they moved directly for the mid lane. That's the only place you can really go when your jungle has been taken over so much like that. Instead of being patient or going straight on the Baron, Team Liquid decided to just kind of run into them in a 5v5 team fight, kind of invalidating the wards that they put to deny vision. So they get a heads-up engage, and that allows it to be a 1 for 1. Renekton can get bursted down because it is kind of a front-to-back team fight, and Froggen is the one person who had the 2-item power spike to compete with the 2-item power spikes out of Team Liquid. And then, because Team Liquid took the Ocean Drake, EchoFox got to take back over Control Wardville. 750 gold worth of Control Wards were spent by Team Liquid to set up that team fight. It gets a 1 for 1, and all they get out of it is an Ocean Drake. Now the Control Wards are gone.
And it just all evaporates. The last 5 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah.
Into thin air. Team Liquid still ahead, still enjoying a very substantial lead. I do not want to downplay that. But at the same time, that lead is not being ballooned into something greater. It's not being turned into a situation where they're set up outside the enemy base with Baron buff under their belts, just waiting to end this and take us to game 3. This is still winnable for Echo Fox.
Yeah, and they're not put in a position anymore where that type of control ward starvation can clear all the vision, because you got people like Lorlo who are building up to Gargoyle Stoneplate who can no longer build control wards because of his item slots, unless he decides to forego a little bit of armor. Piglet, though, wants to go.
They're trying to go in, onto Acadian, onto Keith, able to find some very quick burst, and Keith is done. Piglet unstoppable. Acadian's looking about like a pin cushion. A double kill for Piglet.
All right, the old-fashioned way. Run at him.
Yep.
Kill him.
Just run at him till somebody's dead.
Yeah, they had such a lead. I mean, they have been able to do this. They were trying to do it like the clean, good way. Uh-oh, man.
Uh-oh. Thresh a little bit far forward. More damage coming out. Corky Rocket's going through. One more against him. Froggen at least getting a kill for himself. Golden Glue occupying both these guys, though. Where is Looper? Still hanging out bottom side. Not even going to be wasting his time with this one. They need to make sure that there's no way for this to be smite stolen. You've got Kha'Zix and Kalista. It shouldn't even be a possibility. There we go. Baron secured by Liquid. Over the wall goes Rain over. Looper on the front lines. Taunt from Golden Glue not finding anyone. Echo Fox retreats with no mana left on Froggen. And now with Liquid having that Baron, this is where you break the base.
Yeah, watch this fight one more time. Piglet was, I believe, 4-0 before this fight. Just decides to take Matt with them, flashes for a short-range shot. And then Keith is like, uh-oh, I'm actually really far away from everyone and I don't have summoner spells. So they die pretty quickly as Team Liquid collapse down.
And even though this is the tankier Rek'Sai from Acadian, the Cinder Hulk into the Knight's Vow, very similar to what we saw last game, doesn't matter. When Piglet's that fed, when he's got 3 items on Kalista, you're not getting away. Now Golden Glue potentially finding himself caught out, but you don't really catch out an enemy tank with that many defensive stats. The damage comes in. The package is forced to be used as a defense mechanism. Acadian again in a troublesome spot, trying to use the ulti to drop the aggro, but it will not work. Liquid grabs the kill onto that enemy jungle, takes his jungle as they go, putting the blue buff on the Golden Glue.
And Golden Glue probably going to teleport back in with one of the pushes as well. Looks like Team Liquid is prepping to try and make this big push.
This needs to succeed. This is where they need to just run straight into that mid lane. Use this 10,000 gold advantage. Do not allow Echo Fox to have some sort of a miracle defense here. You've got a 6-0-1 Kalista. You've got a 3-0-5 Galio that, by the way, just completed Warmogs.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter if he drops to 2% HP. Walk out of combat for 30 seconds, boom, he's right back in.
He's actually prepping a third wave because they look like they're fairly committed to 1-3-1ing this. It's really interesting watching Team Liquid play this one out because I feel like the coaching is there with what the plays they're executing, but they're not quite clean with the execution of them. Like the way they just went to base and cleaned out all the vision of Baron from the river to red buff was like super good. That's something that you train. That is definitely a play that you train. What brushes do we need to control it? How do you move up? But then actually knowing what to do after the fact wasn't quite there. And the way they actually got the win was, we see people in mid, let's run at them and get them. And then even now, it's like, okay, we have Baron with a double tank team that has double TP. What's the ideal thing we should do? Okay, it's a 1-3-1 split push, get the waves, push mid. But they had someone dead, so the correct play is actually just to run it up mid with 5 people. Either way, it's probably going to work. They prepped the 1-3-1, now they go.
Now they're running up top with 5 people. Golden Glue on those front lines, seeing if they can break this one open. Tier 3 nearly brought down so far. They will find that one. Golden Glue trying to channel that taunt, looking to grab somebody if he can. Acadian again going to be caught out, bursted down, punished, as Keith will be going down first. A killing spree for Rainover. It's a 2-for-0 and a godlike Piglet. Team Liquid really wants to take this one to game number 3, and they are so incredibly close, 13-3 in kill count. I don't think Froggen can hold this one. He's only 2 kills in. The Corky will not be enough to defend against a 5-man strong Liquid squad. TP coming in, being channeled. Lorlo's right back into the fight, home guarded up. Nexus turret number 1 taken down. Nexus turret number 2 falling shortly. And Team Liquid will not be stopped today. It took them a little while to make it happen, but they're on to the Nexus. They're taking down Echo Fox, and they're going to make them work for it. We're headed to game 3.
Yeah, missiles can only do so much if you're Froggen when Team Liquid was massively ahead from the early game. 7-0-2 for Piglet. Those are the types of games that feel good, especially for guys like Golden Glue and Matt, who were subbed in for this game. And they take care of business.
That's the 10-man roster, right? That's the power of being able to make these swaps.
That's when it works, right? It feels great when it works and think, okay, we switched up these matchups. Golden Glue picked up an early triple kill. Piglet and Matt were dominant. Everything worked out for them, and that's that's Team Liquid trying to pick up their 3rd match win of the split.
And let's not forget to give credit where it was due. That first fight in the top side, that triple kill for Golden Glue, gave him everything he needed to have that massive presence that he needed for the rest of the game. And he honestly didn't stop being a threat after that. There was never a point where it's like, man, Golden Glue squandered that. He was always this big brick of a front line. He was always threatening the taunts and threatening those justice punches in every single fight.
Yeah, and I do feel like when you're trying to recap this game, Echo Fox is going to see potentially some drafting problems with it because they didn't really find winning lanes. Their strongest player, Froggen, didn't have a huge way to exploit the Galio. And then obviously a lot went wrong, so their one place where they could win is no longer going to go well once you get a 7-stack Dark Seal Galio in your game. So Team Liquid was able to take control, and you took all the things that Echo Fox won with in Game 1, where they had 3 pushing lanes and close together because they haven't been that great a team playing there, and then you just have a bunch of bruisers that are strong in lane on Team Liquid so that they could hit those massive mid lane power spikes and close out. So we didn't get to mention it too much, but I really did like the draft from Team Liquid right there, especially when they get that early lead.
Yeah, Liquid, they had a good comp. Echo Fox, we make jokes about saying, oh, it's just the Korean strategy. Play better than your opponents.
Yeah.
The problem was this game, they didn't play better than their opponents, and so it led them to some trouble. Like that fight we were talking about, it was 5 minutes, 30 seconds into the game, a 3-for-1 topside for Liquid that just took this game into their control.
Yeah, and initially I'd like it from Acadian. Rainover did have the level advantage, which makes this a little dicey, but Rainover's going to go for the counter jungle. Acadian teams up with the Krugs to take Rainover really low, and then if that was a kill, the play is actually called off. But Froggen Valkyried to flashing it onto Rainover, and even at this point, you can just trade. You're allowed to trade first blood for a kill back. That's fine. But Echo Fox go for more, even though Acadian's low and Froggen is out of mana. Lorlo doesn't have mana, and Golden Glue is also full mana, so it's not actually a fair 2v3, so to speak. Golden Glue very powerful with his base damages, punches him to death right there, and then they can just chase on since he still has his flash, and Froggen once again expended the flash just to secure that kill, and when Golden Glue picked up this triple kill, it got even worse from there because then they were able to redive the top lane later on. Froggen still couldn't get that pressure going in the mid lane, and you can see Team Liquid never really relented the gold lead from that point forward.
Damage dealt to champions, another ridiculous performance by Froggen, by the way. Even though they lost, he was almost more damage than anybody else in the game put together, including the 2 most fed members of the enemy team that won. But
yeah, that's 19,000 damage for everyone who's not Froggen on his team, and 23,000 damage for him. That's doing quick math in my head, about 60% damage share. You see normally 34. That'll happen though when you're getting smashed like Echo Fox was there, and you have one champion with really good poke like Corki. Corki always, even though the mid lane average for like all mid laners is close to 27 or 30%, Corki's always around like 35 or 40, not 60.
Yeah.
But he gets there, and it wasn't very effective.
I don't know about that one. It was a little bit of a rough time for Echo Fox. I think you're right, though. They do need to look back at the draft going into game number 3. It was such a different situation just in the champions picked between these 2 games. Echo Fox needs to say, look, game 1 worked, and game 2 did the opposite.
Yeah, and they need to, if they're going to do that, though, they need to find the archetype for Looper to play. Because if they're banning out the Kennen and they're not early picking a Fiora and Fiora's getting banned in the second phase, there wasn't that thing that could be solo turret pressure that demands 1 or 2 people if he gets going. Because save for that, you got to play a teamfight tank and almost totally retool your style. So pretty easy currently that they haven't found that archetype for Team Liquid. Just throw a banner or 2 at it and get rid of the threat.
Well, we're headed for game 3 between Echo Fox and Team Liquid, the one to decide it all. Stick around after the highlights for the most recent edition of This or That. More NALCS after this, or maybe that. This one, the taunt being channeled, the flash into the setup, a double kill for Golden Glue. Froggen on the run, but is he going to be running anywhere? I don't think so, Jad. Here it comes, the triple kill for Golden Glue. Keith going to be ulted by the Shen, looking to keep him safe. Hero's entrance onto the front line, as again, Gate is the one in trouble there on the front line, melted down, bullied around. Lorlo going to be following him straight into the black and white abyss.
You guys want me to be behind?
No, TP behind.
I'm ulting. I'm looking Corkin. Keep going.
You don't thresh, Go on.
Let's go do Nash. Go do Nash. I'm ulting on you, Matt. One sec.
I'm coming.
I'm going on Corki. I'm zoning Corki.
Just taking a bit of turret.
Can we end? I think we can end with a stop wave.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of This or That with Kobe and Jat. How you doing?
Solid 4 out of 10 today.
That's great. I'm also a little salty. I've been catching a lot of heat in the YouTube comments for talking about the rules because I said we're never going to talk about the rules.
I feel like that's justified then.
Saying we've never seen the slides and saying the number of slides aren't rules.
I feel like it's a rule that we aren't allowed to find out what's on the slides beforehand.
I think that's just giving general information. We have 6 slides today, and added context.
That's good information.
Our producer says one of them is stupid. So we're going to see which one it is. We're trying to guess as we go through.
I'll be the judge of how many are stupid.
And this or that. Better mid, Bjergsen or Jensen?
This is a good one.
Question.
This is a good one.
Better mid right now, overall, in playoffs?
And what aspect? It says better mid, so to me, holistically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of always comes back to who are you going to choose to be on your team? And the default answer has always been Bjergsen because of, to me, clutch performances is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
He has a history of winning, clutch performances, and shot calling. Those are all things that have made him the default answer. But Jensen has a lot of things that you can talk to as well.
Back in 2016 spring, I think Jensen was all NALCS mid over Bjergsen. So there have been times where he's been ranked higher.
The Immortals.
But those are regular season awards. And right now, I actually feel like this is a closer question than it's ever been before. Yes, Bjergsen exceeds in NA, but he also hasn't done great internationally. And Jensen hasn't done well in NA playoffs, especially against Bjergsen. So until he can take down, as much as I hate like the sports trope, until he can take down Bjergsen, I'm not going to put him better than Bjergsen.
Bjergsen is definitely Jensen's demon. We'll have to say. All right, next slide.
It's close though. Next slide, number 2 of this or that. More surprising, Phoenix won last place or Immortals first place?
Ooh, I feel like a last place. Them dropping from 3rd down to last is incredibly surprising. Yes, we had concerns about, the roster swaps and how many subs they're having, but they placed 3rd. They won that match with Shady. Yeah. So them dropping all the way to 10th, I think that is more surprising to me because even though Immortals jumping up to 1st is definitely noteworthy, I was more optimistic, I think, about the trade than a lot of other people.
True. I think it's harder to beat everyone than to lose to everyone from a surprising perspective. Because it's real easy.
It's harder to win than
real
lose.
Easy to be last place. So I'm going to say it's more surprising than Immortals has been better than everyone. TSM, CLG, C9, Phoenix won. All these teams, they were 7th last split, and they were atrocious for most of the
I can't argue with that. It's harder to win than it is to lose.
Clearly that. Check 1 point. All right, next slide. For this or that. Better top champ, Renekton or Jarvan?
So I feel like, he's a bigger lane bully. I am in love with Jarvan though. I just love the versatility, plus I played him in the jungle. That being said, Renekton's my default top laner just because of how easy it is to bully a lot of lanes and play aggressively. So as far as top laner, I have to give the versatility actually over to Jarvan, even though that's my main top lane champion. Yeah. And I'm not confident enough to switch over to Jarvan. I would still give it to Renekton for the bullying.
I think it's actually clearly Renekton. I think he's the most picked top laner on the current patch. I think even the best top laners can do so much.
Though.
Ooh, you can cataclysm them, or you can win lane in 1v3 in team fights. I think Renekton has been taking over a lot of games, and I feel like Renekton is kind of always the bar of you must be this tall to come into top lane. And whenever you have all these kind of top lane carries, Renekton beats all of them.
That's cheating, dude. He gets taller when he ults.
Perfect.
Aha, now you have to be this tall.
That's why he's better. I'm going to go this once again. I think you agreed with me.
Yeah.
Slide number 4.
Renekton.
I'm waiting for the stupid slide. I don't think we've seen it yet. Who will win Rift Rivals, NA or EU?
I feel like, this one is kind of stupid because we did decide the slide before.
Have we?
It was, what are NA's chances, good or bad?
Yeah.
It's not the same slide, different take.
Weird thumb.
Phoenix 1 is not going to do well. I think everybody's agreeing on that.
So it's specifically NA or EU. It's not like
I know.
Phoenix 1 or
I know.
best neighbor is best EU.
I do think that we are at a disadvantage heading in as far as the teams that we're sending are very clearly on the lower end of the spectrum. So by default, I think that we do have lower expectations.
Yeah, I have a bunch of excuses lined up. Jet lag, the NALCS runs later. We're on patch 7.13, so they don't have as much time to adapt to it, even though they want to do that for practice. I'm going to say it's EU. They've been basically the best team in NA has been TSM for a while, and they didn't beat the best team in EU at MSI, and I think Fnatic and UOL both look pretty good. So right now, I give them the edge.
Yeah, I think Fnatic actually look exceptional, so I'm excited to see.
Yeah, putting in seeds of doubt, so when NA beats them, feels better. Next slide, number 5. This or that, more tilting, Zilean or Tahm Kench? This one's easy for me, Tahm Kench. I can play around the revive and not hitting people at the right time, and I feel like Zilean outplays you if you do like the pass to yourself double bomb that Bjergsen did for a stun this past weekend. Tom Kench just eats you every time you make a good play and saves someone.
Is it tilting, though?
Are you calling this the bad slide?
No, this one is kind of up in the air for me. I don't know. Because the Zillion reviving thing is pretty tilting, but I think Tom Kench is better as a champion, so I feel like that's the angle that you're going with.
Yeah, when I'm in a game against Tom Kench, I am so much more frustrated about what he is doing than when I'm against Zillion.
All right, I'll just have to. I'm not feeling this one, so I'll have to go with Tom Kench by default.
By both of these guys.
I get tilted by things like LeBlanc, not these guys.
Yeah, I could kill you top as a tilter. Next slide, final slide of the day. Ham or salami?
This is the stupid one, I'm pretty sure. So salami.
You want to explain salami?
For the people that don't know, Riv uses this as going ham under turrets.
Yeah.
He took it the next level as salami. I forgot why it was the next level.
So turret's still on me. If you say it really fast, he thinks sounds like salami.
Was that it?
That's it. Turret salami is salami. But I think he just does it now, and he expects people to know.
Well, I know because I was in the game when we were queuing 5s with High, and High was doing shot calling, and it just came out. So I really enjoyed it, and I always kind of default to this one now. I just think it's that kind of next level, extra flavor. This is the hipster version of ham.
Well, also ham is an acronym. Salami is just like a word soup.
That's why I like it. I like it that you have to be on the inside to know. Esoteric.
Not anymore.
This is the esoteric.
Everyone watches this or that, and now everyone will be saying it in their games. I actually like this slide. I don't think
we won you over.
Yeah, that is a good one. I approve of this message from Riv. That'll do it for this or that, though. We head off to Rift Rivals next week.
Yeah, we got a busy schedule.
Yeah.
We got to get going.
See you guys.